video today, did you? There's something I've wanted to talk about for a long time. And, you know, I'm a Rovers fan. I'm so glad I am after watching that game tonight. I mean, there's still one more Premier League game to go, but if I want to talk about something not related to Rovers, I'll talk about it as a neutral. And it's just what went down tonight. If you didn't see it, Man United won, Tottenham 6. And you know what? To the United fans with a brain cell and have addressed the actual problems in the club, I feel sorry for you because you don't deserve that. To the people that have an agenda against certain players that actually were better than others, what are you doing? Just what are you doing? Looking at this on a neutral perspective, I know exactly what's going on at Manchester United Football Club, but other people just don't seem to get it. And I'll tell you this off the bat, and I'll go into more detail about my thoughts and everything to do with that in a little bit. But I wanted to start off with the basics and say I know why Man United are failing. Woodward, Glazers, judges, recruitment, to the tactics and the team selection, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer to an extent. Now, I was watching those goals go in. Rovers weren't playing today. I thought, you know what, I'll have a break. I'll go and watch some Premier League football just while I've got a day off. I chose the wrong game from a Man U perspective. From a Tottenham perspective, I chose the perfect game. And, you know, no doubt Tottenham fans will be dancing up and down like it's a boogie 24/7 at a disco. But for Man United, it just feels like the music video for Bittersweet Symphony. You know, the theme on the you know that theme on the ITV with the England theme where it goes dun 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 dun. Just little, you know, old Man United statues playing little violins. It's, you know, it just feels so gloomy, like that Bittersweet Symphony music video, you know. If it makes it even more complete, you're going to have Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, after he's just handed his resignation in, just walking down with his pockets in his hands going, "It's a bittersweet symphony that's life." You know, he's going to be walking down the street singing that song. It's just like the music video. Gloomy walk down the street and a camera following him. It's just going to be Bittersweet Symphony all over again. But, you know what? People that blame the manager blame the players as well. Because, I mean, to be fair, I'm looking at this on an overall perspective, not just tonight's game. But I just want to focus on tonight's game first of all, before we talk about the overall perspective of it. And this is from a neutral, so you can't call me biased, you can't call me, you know, this, and this, because I'm looking at it as a neutral. I'm looking at it from 2 leagues below, overlooking the top division that Doncaster Rovers want to get up to. First of all, Harry Maguire. Why did he cost £80 million again? Why did he cost £80 million again? Nothing against the guy, because the guy, I'm sure, is a wonderful human being, like some people are. But Harry Maguire is a player, man. I said, as soon as he signed for Manchester United, as soon as he signed, I thought in my head, £80 million, that is just an overhyped price tag. But it's going to start when I think Man U play Newcastle after the international break, which is kind of why I'm glad Rovers are still playing through the international break, because people can start focusing on our clubs a bit more now for a couple of weeks. But Harry Maguire, I think he's going to start in the next game for Manchester United because he's bringing in the sponsors. I think it doesn't matter how Harry Maguire plays. In terms of the Glazers' mind, they don't care how well he plays or how bad he plays. All they care about is, did Harry Maguire get that phone call from Nike saying they want to do an advertising commercial with them? Okay, good. That's a few extra million in our pockets. Great. Play however you want, Harry Maguire. You could play absolutely trash and you could still bring us money in. Great. Cheers. Eric Bailly made mistakes today. Luke Shaw didn't cover himself in glory for the first goal, in my opinion. Wan-Bissaka played some awful passes. De Gea can't be at fault for the goals, and he's probably one of the usual suspects to have an agenda against. Even though Luke Shaw wasn't at fault for the first goal, was at fault for the first goal. He's going to be made an agenda because people have an agenda against David De Gea. People have an agenda against Luke Shaw. The red cards. This is where I'll stick up for VAR here. To some extent, not all extent, but Martial should have been sent off. Absolutely, because the reaction, he just slapped him. It's like a slap competition and he tried too hard. You know, Martial got sent off for the right reasons. But why didn't Eric Lamela get sent off as well, in my opinion? And I'm not going to talk too much about Tottenham because this is about Manchester United and the problems they've got behind the scenes, in my opinion. Why didn't they send off Lamela as well? I mean, that's the problem with VAR. That's what they need to sort out big time. What else can be done? What's Rashford thinking? I think he's probably thinking maybe I should go back into lockdown and start doing more charity sales to help people that are struggling in lockdown. As well as other people. I think Cavani and Tellers' planes have been diverted back to France and Portugal. I think that Van der Beek's agent is getting a phone call from Van der Sar saying, is there a buyback clause to come back to Ajax in his contract? I think Sporting Lisbon or other clubs out there are contacting Bruno's agent saying, is it too early to sign into our club in January on a transfer that can be confirmed? I think Sancho's agent's confirming, why do you want to join this club? There's a lot of problems, and you know what? People say team selection for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's fault. Fair enough. Team selection, why bring McTominay and Fred on in the second half? That's what I didn't get. Why not bring Van der Beek on straight away and play with Bruno, Van der Beek and Matic, even though Matic, to be fair, was not fit. So I'd have probably brought off Matic and Pogba, and I'd have brought on Fred and Van der Beek, and I'd have put Van der Beek, Fred and Bruno in the midfield. But he left Matic on. He took Bruno and Matic off for McTominay and Fred, left Pogba on, and he was the one that conceded the penalty to make it 6. So not really good thinking from Ole Gunnar Solskjaer on that retrospect, but I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, to be fair, I know Ole wants to see out the job, but if I was Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, I would have handed in my resignation. I'd have slated the board saying I don't want to work with poison anymore, and I'd have walked out the door. I don't care about not working with Man United ever again in any kind of retrospect, behind the scenes, in front of the camera, anywhere. I'd have gone out with some pride, saying, you know what, I might not work for Man United again, or I might not be branded by the club themselves a legend, but the fans like me, and you know what, I actually stuck up for myself and I stood up against the poison. And this is kind of like an overall situation. This is going off the game now. This is going on to Man United in general, and this is why I wanted to do this video very, very late. Why in God's name is Man United going downhill? And I was joking about this on social media. I put out tweets saying, well, Donny Rovers versus Manchester United in the Championship confirmed next season. You know, if we get promoted, then we're going to Old Trafford next season. But I mean that's probably going too far. We all know that probably isn't the case. But you know, I just wanted to make something light-hearted out of a situation. I probably did that, but you know, for Man U fans, I think people will think this is not a joke. This is actually, you know, tearing us down mentally, physically, emotionally. And it's the Glazers. Now, this is where the neutral side comes into it. And this is where I'll stick up for Man United fans, and I'll stand with the fans against their owners. When the Glazers took over Manchester United in 2005, there was immediate controversy. When they bought the club, and after 2 or 3 failed bid attempts, they finally bought the club, and it was swirled in controversy from Malcolm Glazer, the main guy behind this. Ferguson's trophies hid their problems. That's the big headline for me. Ferguson's titles hid their problems. And then when it came to Ferguson's retirement, in my opinion, he retired at the right time. It was the right time to go out on a title, go out on a high. And Moyes, Van Gaal, Mourinho, Solskjaer. What do these 4 managers have in common? They've not been backed. And look at Mourinho. Look at Moyes and Mourinho now. Not just Mourinho, but I know Moyes was, you know, at home because he was still self-isolating from coronavirus. But he still made the decisions for West Ham today that got them a 3-0 win away at Leicester City. Leicester City. And Mourinho is the guy that just beat Man United 6-1. And it's the first time Spurs have won by that big a margin in the history of their club at Old Trafford. And I think it's like one of the most humiliating defeats in United's history. And to be fair, here's another stat from the first half. It's the first time United have conceded 4 goals in one half of football, the first half of football, in the Premier League for the first time ever. Ever. First time. And why is that? Because they haven't backed the manager. You know, the manager said, I want Sancho, I want a centre-back, I want a holding midfielder. And the board responded by saying, well, we're gonna dilly-dally with some bids here and there. We're not going to give you Sancho, we're not going to give you a centre-back or a holding midfielder. But how does Cavani on a free transfer and Telles for 18 million because we can't pay 20 million pound instead sound? How does a new left back that was not one of the priorities, and how does a free striker with an injury record but used to be a big name that could give us loads of shirt sales now? How does that sound? You know, and that's what it is. They care about business, not football. And I stand with the Man United fans on this, and that's why I wanted to do a video on this tonight, because I feel so bad for Man United fans. But what needs to happen now? I think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, I'm not too sure if Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is going to survive this. I've got a feeling I'm going to wake up tomorrow morning and I'm going to read the news that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has been sacked. And he'll be the scapegoat for the board's problems and the players' terrible performances. I think Maguire needs his contract tearing up. I think Bailly needs to be benched. I think that Wan-Bissaka needs to look at himself in the mirror and think, where did I go wrong at Crystal Palace? I think that Pogba needs to look at himself and stop being a brand. And this is one big point I wanted to make tonight. With Man United, it doesn't feel like they're football players. And this is where I'll defend the manager here. It doesn't feel like they're football players. It feels like they are brands. And this is where I will back the manager against the board. They don't feel like football players. Paul Pogba doesn't feel like a centre midfielder. Paul Pogba feels like a sponsor. He feels like a sponsor on a pitch doing nothing but dilly-dallying and not performing like a world-class player. But on the plus side, for the Glazers, point of view, is giving them a few million quid every week. He's pumping money into the Glazers' pockets, and they're picking pockets out of players. And, Pogba's earning a massive lifestyle. He's getting millions a week. It's all good. He's getting a good lifestyle. We're getting money. It's all good. Who cares about if they're playing good or not? Who cares if we might get relegated to the Championship and be the first big club to get relegated to the Championship? As long as we've got that big sponsor still, it's going to still be alright, isn't it? And someone needs to wake up that club now and say, what the hell is going on? What is going on? And you're probably sitting there thinking, well, hang on a minute, you're a Doncaster Rovers fan, why do you care about what's happening at Manchester United? It's because I'm a football fan. Now, I'm not just a Donny Rose fan, I don't know where the scarf is, but I'm wearing the red and white, I'm wearing the black and white of the away kit. I might be a Donny Rovers fan, but I'm a football fan first, and I care about other fan bases that are going through turmoil. And even I'm looking on an outside point of view and I'm seeing what the hell is going on at Manchester United. When you've got ex-players like Patrice Evra, like Ferdinand, when you've got Graham Souness coming out and saying things that I agree with, and when you've got fans crying and screaming out for the Glazers and Woodward to be sacked, and judges, don't let Mad Judge get away with it, for all the recruiters and the board and the Glazers to be sacked and sell the club, when you've got all three of them combined, fans, ex-players, pundits that sometimes aren't right, sometimes are right, when they're all crying out at the same time, even players that hate Man United, Robbie Savage has got a reputation amongst the world about hating Man United, hasn't he? And you know what? I agree with some of the points he's made tonight on Radio 5 Live. I was listening to that and watching the game and listening to a fan channel. I was listening to fans, pundits, and watching the game myself. And you're probably thinking, how can I listen to 3 devices at once? I had the sound off the game so I could listen to the commentary on both things. But, Robbie Savage, might get hate for hating on Man United for the sake of hating, but I agree with the points he's made. Graham Souness might get hate for some of the things he said about Man United, same with Roy Keane, but I've agreed with them. The board need to go. And that's me talking as an outsider. This isn't some Man U fan with an agenda. This is a Doncaster Rovers fan who knows about bad owners, who's been through that, survived through that, and our club has grown from that, and we're in a position now where we could grow even further under the current board and the current manager. This is me telling Man United to wake up and smell the coffee. You know, it's Starbucks for 50p or something. Wake up and smell the coffee. Make sure you smell the double latte. The Glazers can't run a football club. They can run a business and a bank, but they can't run a football club. And in my opinion, the best way forward is for Ole to stay in the job. Just please, Ole. I know people call you a PE teacher and things like that, but just ride it out, mate. Honestly, just ride it out, because hopefully the best case scenario would be Ole gets backed by an owner who actually cares about the football side of things. Or if the Glazers aren't going to sell the club and Woodward and Judge ain't going to go, you get a director of football in so that Woodward and Judge can, you know, focus on the financial side of things, and you get a proper director of football in, like a former player or someone who just knows the club. Could you imagine if Sir Matt Busby was still alive? Or could you imagine, you know, I think if there was no restrictions on people if they're alive or dead, I think my top two choices for, you know, director of football would be Sir Matt Busby or Sir Alex Ferguson. Sir Matt Busby's unfortunately passed away since 1994, so unfortunately we can't have Matt Busby. I would go, if you could actually do it, I would put Sir Alex Ferguson as director of football, but he's just an ambassador. So I think the next best thing you go for is a player who knows the club, who's won many, many trophies with the club, and someone who can do a job. Someone like Rio Ferdinand, someone like Gary Neville, someone like a Wayne Rooney, someone like a Paul Scholes, Ryan Giggs. Even if when he I'm pretty sure there's not going to be a director of football for the next 3 to 5 years, maybe even 10 years. Further down the line, if things get so bad that you do need a director of football now, in 10 years' time, I would pick Cristiano Ronaldo once he retires, because I think he'd be a perfect director of football. I think he knows a club, but I think he'd be brilliant because he knows football, and I think he'd be a perfect director of football. But you just know what's going to happen if the Glazers want to go for a director of football. They'll pick someone who's a banker rather than someone who knows about football, and they'll just continue getting the sponsoring, getting the shirt sales, and not caring about the football. And to be honest, Man United, I've seen it in the table. They're 16th in the league? 16th? 3 points above the relegation zone. And it's only 3 or 4 games in, but it's still relegation form. And I'd be looking at that and thinking, I think, you know, and this is nothing against Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, because he's been robbed of the chance, he's been hung out to dry. They've been robbed of the chance to have a backed summer. And Man United came into this season very unprepared. The loss against Crystal Palace, deserved it. Crystal Palace were the better team. The win against Brighton was lucky because it was a 100th minute penalty from Bruno. The loss against, I can't remember what the third game was now. Who was it? I can't remember, but they played someone else before Tottenham. And, you know, that one was, you know, I feel so sorry for Man United fans. I really, really do. And, you know, this just exerts my opinion why clubs like Doncaster Rovers have better boardrooms than Premier League clubs. Arsenal, you know, they won 2-1 against Sheffield United today, but Aouar won't be coming to Arsenal, and I don't think Partey's coming to Arsenal, so they're going to deal with the players that they've got that played really poor in the first half of that game. Man United, you know, they're getting Cavani, they're getting Telles. I wouldn't be surprised if they don't end up happening now. And apparently Sancho could be taking up the entire day on Monday. And, you know, it's one of those things where you can't help but feel sorry, but you feel glad that you support a club that's got a good board. Yes, we might not have the money to spend on multi-million-pound players yet, but we've got a board that could take us to that stage and make sure we stay afloat if we spend some kind of money on players. Because I think this has been pointed out by Rovers fans in the past. I think with more money, Darren Moore's going to have a whole lot more freedom in the transfer market, and we could bring in the right players to make this club a big, big club. With Man United, they can't even go out and spend, what? I think even the Alex Telles deal, they were pushing the £20 million that Porto wanted down to £18 million, and they reached an agreement only just today while the game was in play. It was like, what, the first half? that they announced that an agreement with Tellers has been reached for 18 million, and the Cavani deal, that's just paying agent fees. That's a free transfer. That you don't have to pay anything for that. It's just the wages. And you know what Cavani's like with the wages? It's like Falcao and Di Maria. It's probably going to be like, what, 200, 300,000 a week? And it kind of makes me think, why has the Premier League got to this stage where businessmen in charge of football clubs that don't care about the clubs and care about the finances are being allowed to let this happen? But because the clubs are still competing in the top 6, top 7, oh, it's fine, just let the fans keep protesting because they won't get heard anyway. And it's stuff like this where fan channels were created. Whether it's lower league, higher league, I don't care. That's why channels were created, to give fans a voice, to give fans a chance to share their opinion. Some people may agree with it, some people may disagree with it, but people are allowed to have their opinion, and fans felt lost in the game. And fans have felt lost in the game when money was introduced. And I go back to that point, I spoke about it in a DRFC Daily Report about a week or two ago, about financing football. The fact there's millions and millions and millions that have gone into that Premier League since the 90s, since that first big Sky TV deal for the Premier League. And I was watching that documentary on Doncaster Rovers again in 1998, and the groundskeeper at the time, I think his name was Ken, he said it perfectly. It's all in the Premier League. And all these little clubs have got to still survive, but when we have someone looking good, or someone that looks brilliant, they snap him up and they've got no chance. It's just, and it's not sport anymore, it's money. And I think that's a big, big statement, and it's from 1998, and the statement still counts today. So, what do we take from this? We take that the Glazers need to go, and this is not a Man U fan talking, this is a Doncaster Rovers fan who's a neutral, who's an outsider, who feels passionate about football as a sport, and not a business, and not something to make a profit out of. The Glazers need to go. If they're not going to go, the recruiters, Woodward and Judge, need to go, if they're not going to sell the club. And they need to get a director of football in, and they need to make proper signings, because forget spending 100 million on Sancho, they need 50 to 100 million on a centre-back, like a Koulibaly or an Upamecano. What's happening with Upamecano? I think he's staying at Leipzig. Koulibaly, probably staying at Napoli now. Look at other clubs. Everton have gone and spent, just over £20 million on Ben Godfrey from Norwich. Man City have spent, £65 million on Ruben Diaz from Benfica. He came in, made an impact. And you look at other clubs, not even just defenders, but other clubs have made business. Tottenham have bought 2 Man U targets, Reguilon and Bale, and Sheffield United spent nearly 25 million on a striker who's not going to get game time at Liverpool, Ryan Brewster. I think Southampton spent 20 million on a centre back, that Mohamed Salisu from Valladolid. I think that's what his club was. Fulham today, they're spending 20 million euros in connection with Barcelona on that young French guy, Todibo. 20 million euros from Fulham. Fulham are doing better business than Man United. Do you know what the funniest thing is? And this is the funniest thing. Do you know what the funniest thing is? And I'll link this back to my club. Doncaster Rovers, we've done more business than Man United. And to be perfectly honest, we've actually spent more money than Manchester United. We've actually spent more money than them. And we've brought in free transfers and loans. We've spent more money than Manchester United. And that is actually embarrassing for Man United. The fact that Doncaster Rovers have spent more money than Man United, including the loan wages and stuff like that, even though we are now currently 2 leagues below, and if it keeps going the way it is, who's to say we can rule out Man United relegated and Doncaster promoted and we face each other in the league next season? In the Championship. Who can rule that out at the minute? Because the way it's going, it could look that way, especially if Burnley and Sheffield United start getting more points and keep going ahead of Man United and other clubs keep going. The title race this year at the minute is Liverpool versus Everton, and I can't wait for that Merseyside derby. It's going to be a good one. But, Man United at the minute, they're not even competing for top 10. They're competing this early on to stay in the league. And that's embarrassing. And the fact that we spent more money than Man U is embarrassing for them, but it's great for us. So, you guys are probably thinking, well, you're a Donny fan, you're 2 leagues below Man United. You should be absolutely excited that you spent more money than Man United. They should be embarrassed. You should be bantering them. I am, and people have said it in comments of previous videos, I'm one of the purest football fans in the world. I'm not going to come on, other people can do as they please, that's fine with them. And I'm not going to comment or anything like that. I'm not one of these fans that's going to come on here and go, you're rubbish, da 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 da. I'm not one of those fans that's going to banter you. I might have a little laugh on Twitter here and there, but I'm not going to banter you entirely. I'm not going to take the mickey out of the club that you support, because that's just being disrespectful. I might have a laugh, but I'm not going to be disrespectful. I'm not going to be abusive with comments. I'm not that kind of person. I was not brought up that way, never will be in my life. I'm a pure football fan, not just a Donny Rovers fan, childhood born club hero fan, but I'm a football fan first. And when I see clubs in turmoil and things not going right, and it's the ownership that's caused it, and everyone can see it apart from people without a brain cell, I will stick up for those fans. I did the same with Charlton, I did the same with Macclesfield, I did the same with Bury, I did the same with Bolton. And now it's gone to the big clubs, and it's up to Man U and Arsenal, who won't back their managers. So, there we go. So, I just wanted to do that little video, well, not little, because it's a big one, but I wanted to do that video tonight just to stick up for Man United fans and tell you that as a Doncaster fan, from past years, I feel your pain for not backing a manager, and the manager, there's been previous managers at our club that didn't even care. They were on the same level as the board. They didn't care. But when a manager doesn't get backed, I respect how that might feel. So, I do feel for you, and we stand with you. Everyone, no matter how much banter people will slate at Man United fans, we'll stand with every single one of you, and we'll say Glazers out, Woodward out. And I've said that for years. So, there we go. I want to do that video tonight. Little late upload. Stay tuned for tomorrow, because I've pre-recorded the preview for Oldham Athletic in the EFL Trophy. But for now, thank you very much, guys. I am the CHALL. And for now, I'm going to end this video like I did in the West Ham video, like I did in the Macclesfield and the Charlton video. Glazers, Woodward, you're fired.